So, this is quite interesting. This reveals from insiders, allegedly, but I can believe it. And there's a few reasons for this as well. It's not just what they cite. But Disney has scrapped the plans for a Snow White UK premiere. Now, this is from the Mail, and they say that's in an attempt to avoid anti-woke backlash. I don't think that's the case, actually. And there were some great people that commented on my video on this earlier, and I was like, I didn't think of that, but you're completely right. One of them is from Israel. One of them is Israeli. Gal Gadot. And what we've had in the UK consistently running rampant for years, however long it's gone on for now, a year or so, has been just weekly events in London, pro-Palestine events, unchecked by the police, not controlled by the police, where these absolute reprobates have just been going around destroying the place. So I actually don't think it's just to do with the backlash and just to do with that. I also think Disney have decided not to do a UK premiere because they know that the Met Police will do nothing ultimately when there is going to be a huge protest because Gal Gadot will turn up. And obviously she fought, she served in the IDF, right?
Oh, yeah.
She is someone that served in the IDF. She is Israeli. And I think that that's also a strong reason as to why Disney has decided to not do a UK premiere. But it's not just that. So the Mail boss, the Mail can reveal bosses, sorry, not the Mail boss, are refusing to hold a star-studded premiere in the UK, which they do quite a lot, actually, as in they do hold premieres in the UK. I've been to a few. So it's something which they do quite regularly. But basically, an insider told the Mail, Disney are already anticipating an anti-woke backlash against Snow White and have reduced the media schedule to just a handful of tightly controlled press events. That is why they've taken the highly unusual step not to host the London premiere for the film and are minimizing the amount of press questions that Rachel Zegler can answer. So they're like, look, every time you open your mouth, you tank this movie that bit further. We can't deal with you, mate. We can't deal with your shit. You're not going to be asked anything. That's it. That is the news. A cancelled premiere in London and silencing its lead through fear of her tanking the film's prospects any further. Now, again, I do think it's also because of that pro-Palestine stuff. Because if you just Google it, pro-Palestine London, it's just every single weekend. It's incessant. It's just, I hate it. It annoys me so much. Just go get a job, you absolute fuck nuggets. These people don't care about you. They'd throw you off a roof if they could. Right? These are uncivilized savages. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Go on, culture.
Well, first of all, it doesn't surprise me they're pulling this. There are several reasons that they're pulling these events and limiting the others that they're having. They just had one in Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. But
they're in Tokyo.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Or they're going to, one or the other. Regardless, this is one of those times when you look at whether or not something is a good idea, and you just decide, well, it's a very bad idea, so we won't go forward with it. You're not going to generate revenue, even though it's in what I think it's called Leicester. Did I said it right?
Leicester Square.
Leicester Square.
Leicester.
Okay. Anyway,
Gesundheit.
Yeah, exactly. Leicester Square. Anyway, so
it's allergy season.
Regardless if it's there or not, which is where most of these red carpet premieres are held, is like, what's it really going to do? And what's the attendance going to be like? And who are the other stars that you would pull in to go to this event? I mean, who's going to walk into there? First of all, London's just poorly these days. Nobody wants to go there, at least of all the people who are not Londoners, right? And
mate, there's no Londoners in London anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say,
come on, behave, son.
All right, fair enough. I'm trying to be nice here, but there's no reason to go there.
you get off a plane in London, you'll just think it's like you'll think you're still in the airport, right? You'll walk around London, you'll be like, "Am I still in the airport waiting room? Like, what's going on? Why are there no English people here?"
Yeah,
London's goddamn, mate.
yeah,
Honestly,
it's
London's
lost.
such a
Yeah,
shit
well,
show.
then all of your politicians are not Londoners anyway. It does. I'm gonna stop.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, so regardless, nobody was going to go, and there were no stars going to show at this. The adversarial relationship between Gal and Rachel is obvious. All you do is watch the Oscars and their
Oh, I
presentation.
did see that.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was awful.
That was an absolute masterclass in body language because Gal was literally leaning away from her. Like her body was angled to like she's being repelled by her. And of course, they sent them out to Someday My Prince Will Come, which probably pissed off Rachel Zegler to no end.
Oh, am I slurring a bit? Well, it's not because I've had anything to drink, so it's the fact that I didn't sleep at all last night. Regardless, there was no upside. There is no upside to put on this event. That's the thing that we should focus on. So if there's no upside, and you can't, and this thing is going to be a financial disaster to begin with, why spend all that money and utility and goodwill potentially? Because they would be trying to spend goodwill they don't have any longer as a company or a brand. So what would be the point? There isn't any. So cancel it, and then go out and find other opportunities in the future to not fuck up so badly, because that's what's actually happening. Disney itself has been missing on all cylinders for a long time, and this is now catching up with them in the form of these terrible films, the awful television products they put together, and now their theme parks. Their theme parks were the saving grace of the company. They're not going to march around a Latino Snow White in the parks. That is not going to happen. And if it does, they've essentially doomed this character for all time. They cannot rely on nostalgia anymore with these live action events, because people aren't getting nostalgia from these live action events. When was the last time that Disney was able to sell something on the idea that you loved it when you were growing up?
Lion King.
And this is the generational tipping point for Disney. They no longer market generation to generation. They can't. If they want to be woke and to push on neo-Marxist messaging, they cannot. They can't be weighing on people's nostalgia, because you're separating yourself so far from the original. This film is nothing like 1937's. Nothing. So who's interested in that? Apparently very few. Since I'm watching these numbers collapse, and I'm looking at the fact that Disney doesn't have advanced ticket sales. Fandango is trying to do some, but Disney itself is
haven't done any.
No,
it's releases in like 2 weeks,
and that's usually when you start seeing it. And that's the first place I went to was Fandango today, and I saw, oh well, they have a few showings listed for the preview day, right? The Thursday, the 20th. And then I went and looked at all the local theaters. They have none. Buck Pickus, zero, nada, not. And that's unusual. A lot of people are trying to explain it away. Well, movies only get a 10-day release. Bologna sausage. When they market a Star Wars film, that you get tickets almost a month out. So I'm like, this is supposed to be a big event film for Disney. It's a tent pole. It's at least, well, it's spending is like a tent pole, and which is another problem that they have. Why spend more money, good money after bad, by hosting an event like this? I guess that's ultimately where I was going. So, but anyway, I'm going to shut up because I think somebody else needs to talk. I'm tired.
Not that you've been talking a long time. Not that you've been talking a long time, Culture, but I grew a beard during that answer. But no, this is a I think that, some of the, the Palestine stuff is probably a part of it, but you could still do the premiere and just not have Gal Gadot go to it if there was some kind of a safety concern. I think a lot of this is that this is going to be the most controlled press press run for any movie ever. They cannot trust this belligerent moron, this vapid narcissist in front of a single live microphone, because the second they have a single journalist that they don't have utter control over asking her a question, there will be headlines made, because she cannot control herself. She has completely demonstrated that she has no control over the way she speaks. She thinks she's funny and she's not, which is one of the worst things ever. That's one of my favorite things is every interview, she's constantly trying to be funny, and everything just ends up making her look terrible. She is doomed. This film, it is utterly doomed. Not only that, but because of the Israel-Palestine stuff, you've got the anti-Israel people boycotting this film because of Gal Gadot, and you've got the anti-Palestine people boycotting it because of Rachel Zegler. You've got both sides of the conflict boycotting this film, plus the people that just hate her, plus the people that just look at this and realize that this character is not Snow White, because you have taken the very essence of the character, her primary motivating goal as a person, and changed it. And once you do that, it is no longer the same character. If I'm trying to think of just a classic character in a film. I mean, if you took
Mary
Aladdin,
Poppins,
if you took Aladdin, and instead of wanting a better life for himself, his goal was to become the world's greatest bread chef, just to make different kinds of bread and sell them and be the greatest bread man ever. That's no longer Aladdin. The primary motivating goal of the character is what drives the character, and they have fundamentally altered this at its DNA. So people look at even little kids, because little kids don't know that Rachel Zegler is a loudmouth moron. They look at this stuff and they're just like, that's not Snow White. Snow White is the girl that was afraid of shadows in the forest and ran screaming through the forest until she found, this house. She's not this empowered female that's staring down two spears aimed at her throat and dreaming of being the leader that she always dreamt she could be. And look, other versions of Snow White, Once Upon a Time, Snow White and the Huntsman, they've kind of turned her into more of like a warrior queen kind of thing. But that's not a direct remake of the Disney Snow White. Like, if it is a direct remake of that, then it has to be that. Lion King worked, even though Lion King made money, even though Lion King stunk, based on the fact that it was still the Lion King. It was still the same story. James Earl Jones was still there. Aladdin was the same story. Even Beauty and the Beast was the same story. It's this. They've just taken such a wild departure from this. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And I think you're going to see her do. You'll see her do Kimmel. Like, she'll definitely be on Jimmy Kimmel before this movie comes out, because Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Kimmel will stick to the script. Kimmel, Colbert, Fallon, not Seth Meyers, because nobody watches him. But you will see her on these shows, and they will toe the line, and they will ask her the Disney approved questions. She will give the Disney approved answers, and that's going to be it. You're not going to have her sitting in the little director's chair at the press meetings where they just cycle in the reporters over and over again, because that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, they won't be able to control that in any way, shape, or form. So funny, isn't it? That they've had to why do you even hire this reprobate? Like, what are you doing? You feel the need to do all of this because you don't know what she's going to say. Like, why did you even hire her to begin with? It's such a bad idea. So funny. So funny. The amount of money that this movie needs to earn over $500 million to break even, right? Over $500 million to break even. And they're estimated like a $50 million opening weekend. They're going to get $25 million from that. They are fucked. They are so fucked.
I think you're too positive on how little the film cost. I think that people are going to realize that this film cost closer to $425.
It's not. It won't be that much, but we will find out.
The numbers we have are before the first set of reshoots, not even the second set of reshoots.
No, I know, but I can't imagine it'll be that much. can't imagine that much.
How many
'cause the
times
numbers
does
were
it
only
take?
like 270, weren't they? So
Okay, so
something like that.
one time through, let's just use Brave New World as an example. One time through cost them $180 million that they're willing to admit to. That was their printed projection of cost the first time.
Yeah.
Then they filmed it a whole other time. You think that costs less than $180 million?
No, I'm not. Well, the point is, we'll know because they
We'll know.
have to file these publicly. So
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be that much, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, regardless of how much it is, it's just actually it's how screwed they are going to be. They're screwed either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're screwed either way. What do you reckon, Nick? Buddy?
Well,
What's your-
I think culture, made the best point out of this whole thing is the ticket sales. Well,
Yeah,
no,
man.
not to discredit anything Marvin said, but before this conversation even started, the biggest thing to me was no pre-sale tickets yet. The movie opens in 2 weeks. The thing is, if they started doing pre-sale on tickets, it would be a tell-all on how many people are not going to see this thing.
Yeah.
You would see very little tickets sold. So the fact that they are not even pre-selling tickets for this disaster yet is the biggest tell of all. Regardless of the Israel Palestine thing, Gal Gadot, all that, I think the pre-sale tickets thing is the biggest tell for sure. But yeah, this thing's gonna do absolutely terrible. Nobody's gonna go watch it, except for retards like us that have to go watch it so we can tell everybody how terrible it is.
I mean, you're not wrong. We're the suckers here. We are actually going to have to sit through this absolute pile of excrement.
So that'll be a terrible time for all of us.
I genuinely they sell booze at my theater. I genuinely might just have some booze whilst I go watch this. Some booze and popcorn.
I'm for sure going to the theater that sells alcohol.
It's the dining theater. Dining theater for sure.
Yeah, I will have like 4 Jack and ginger beers, while I'm watching this thing. So yeah, it's gonna be bad. And the thing is, even people outside of the YouTube space and the pop culture entertainment space, just the general going audience, like I got a lot of nieces and in my family, and like none of my sisters, none of my nieces, none of them are like talking about, oh, I can't wait to go see this. Coach has a wife and 2 daughters. None of them are like, oh, we gotta go see this Snow White movie. Like nobody cares anything about this. Yeah, people are gonna go see it, people like us, and then other people that just are consumers that just consume everything. Disney, they don't really care. They can't, they have their heads in the sand and just Disney's the greatest, and I support everything they do. Type people will go see it, but yeah, that's not going to be enough for this thing to even come close to breaking even. This movie's going to lose millions and millions of dollars easily.
Hundreds.
Yeah,
it will be hundreds.
Not only is it going to be just not only is it going to be just such a major money loss for them, it's going to be a major reputation blow to them as well. This is going to be a huge black mark on them. I mean, look, Bob Iger in the last couple of earnings calls, he's hyped the 2025 slate, never mentioned this movie once, like it doesn't exist.
Well, so actually, it's even worse than that, right? So this is sandwich. So you've got Captain America: Brave New Slop. Okay,
yeah,
that's bombed. Then this is going to come out. This is going to bomb, and then after this, it's the Thunderbolts. That ain't going to do very well either. Then it's Fantastic Four, which I don't see the hype for. So Captain America, Snow White, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, 4 films already for Disney this year, which I think they won't perform very well.
The only thing they have. Go ahead, Marvin.
I was gonna say I think that there is a possibility that Thunderbolts might be better than people think it's going to be, and because of that, it's going to get some positive word of mouth.
I agree, but I think there's a
that's a
lot of people that have
possibility.
just checked out completely, though, regardless, as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Marvel doesn't have the benefit of the doubt anymore. That's the problem. Marvel doesn't have the ability to bring in people based on the fact that it's Marvel. You know, when they ran out you know, Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, they had such goodwill with the people that it was like, oh, a talking raccoon in space? Sure, I'll trust you on that one, Marvel. You haven't failed me yet. Now it's like Captain America movie, and you're like, yeah, no, that's gonna stink. They've hit DC levels of of fans hating them. Like Marvel used to be able to sell anything to people, and people would be like, "Nah, I don't even want to go see the new Batman movie from DC." Now, and what's interesting about it is, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, they have an opportunity at DC to take advantage of the changed playing field with this. If Superman is awesome, which, you know, we'll talk about later, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the best thing they got going for them, that's still not going to really make them a lot of money, is probably this new Daredevil show on Disney Plus. But it's a Disney Plus show. Yeah, but exactly. Yeah, it's not going to make them anything. As far as theater stuff goes, yeah, I really don't see any wins for them. And park attendance is down. I mean, people are getting to the point to where they really just despise Disney altogether. Same thing with ESPN and ABC. You know, nobody wants to see the cackling hens on The View every morning on ABC spewing their nonsense. Nobody wants to see all the woke tards on ESPN turning sports into some sort of, you know, woke agenda, you know, protests crap. Literally Disney is a whole is in the dumps. They suck. That whole entire board needs to be fired. Iger needs to be out of there. They just need a complete restructure, and they need to really move in a completely different direction. But that'll probably never happen. So,
well, can I just mention, since we're putting a cap on this, to say that here in the United States, the best that we're going to see performance-wise for Snow White in the domestic box office is going to be around 150 to 160 million for its entire theatrical run.
That's your prediction, is it?
That's what I'm looking at.
Interesting. Yeah, I can believe it.
If it opens to 50 and it has bad word of mouth.
Yeah.
One's 160 million domestic and probably a similar international number. Puts you under 400 million. Good night, nurse. It's over.
I'm excited though to go see it on opening night because I really like being in places where I could stretch out, where there's nobody else around me. I have heard rumors that Goku and Vegeta have it scouted as a place that they can fight with no collateral damage.
That is an oddly I like that reference. It's oddly specific, but I do like it. Very niche reference there. I've got some super chats about this. So yeah, please do join in the fun on this conversation. So we got one from Zombie Box Reviews. Says, here's a joke for Zegler when she converts to Islam. What do you call a Muslim woman with an opinion? Anything you want, because they've already been stoned to death. But
a little dark.
Savage, Zombie.
A little dark.
That is savage. Chaos is Fun has super chat $6 and says, unsurprising that it would be cancelled in London. Either you get the plasticine savages because of the Jew, or shanked by the Somali fencing team.
Wow. Dark in
I mean, you're not wrong. Anyway, let's move on from this.